Welcome to the Weekly Whiff podcast, episode number 9, where we will be covering 4 S's followed by Gridman. I am joined, as always, by my good friend Shaun of 28 Posts Later, which you should follow him on Twitter and then read his blogs. When's the last time you did a blog, bro?
Like 2 weeks ago. I don't live under the pressure of uploading them weekly though, so you can't try and get
mate. I'm doing great. And I am obviously the guy who doesn't upload every week, Pete. So how was your week, bro?
My week was pretty mediocre, I'd say. I've just been playing Death Stranding all week, and I feel like I'm going insane playing that game. But
Pissing simulator.
Oh, basically, yeah, post simulator is what I'd call it, and I find it fun, strangely, and in some kind of like Stockholm syndrome kind of way. I think I'm enjoying it, but there are bits of the game that infuriate me immensely, and there are bits of the game that I do enjoy. But I have just been going back and forth between places and delivering packages, and when I'm not doing that, I'm basically just reading or watching stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at Stardew Valley this week.
Well, really? Were you?
Yes.
Well, that's one of my favorite. That's probably my favorite game of the last decade. Honestly, yeah, I love that game.
It's super cheap.
Is it really?
It's $17.
That's worth it.
Yeah.
I think I bought it for $50, and I still think that was worth it. Honestly,
Really?
I put like 100 hours into that game, like on my PS4.
This week I have still been playing Skyrim, so nothing's really changed aside from the fact that I finally got to do some writing today, which I was pretty red hot on. I was really enjoying it. 75 hours from my 54 from last week.
Really?
Yeah, I need a life.
That's like 20 hours added. Where do you get the time to? I swear you never have any free time, but you managed to fucking put in 20 hours.
Maybe I don't have any free time.
I swear you're always like working or writing or something, and then you just come up to me and be like, I fucking respect you hard when you're in your room and like, man, Pete's just a hard worker, and you're just fucking playing Skyrim for 20 hours a week.
Sorry, disappointed. Sorry to let you down.
I'm surprised. I was like, what the fuck? Where did you squeeze in 20 hours this week?
I don't sleep, bro.
I don't sleep. Fair enough. I don't sleep.
I sleep fine today. And work, obviously. And also on top of that, we were watching an anime on a consistent basis, which I really enjoyed. Actually, I don't know about this. Do you get that strange tickle in your internals where you're just like, I haven't watched anime for maybe
I mean, I watch anime a lot nowadays. I used to, like, I think 2018 actually.
Like you went through the door and then everything just opened up in front of you. Just like there's so much potential. There's so much shit to watch.
Remember that greatly.
Yeah, and that was like one of the best feelings about getting an anime. I was like, holy shit, I'm so keen just to go out. And then I hit like a point where I couldn't find any of this. There's too many options. I was just like, fuck it.
The high of getting into anime is probably the best part.
I feel it again, bro. After watching this, I'm like, there's all this shit I want to see.
Yeah. 2018 was like that for me as well, because there's so many fucking good animes coming out that I was just like, fuck, there's so much I want to consume, there's so much I want to watch, and it's great. And one of the products of 2018 was SSSS. S Gridman, which for the rest of the episode I'm only going to call it S Gridman if I'm referring to the title, because I don't want to have to fucking think about how many S's I'm saying each day. But
take us away, Shaun.
Yes, so S Gridman is a to put this plot simply, is an anime about 3 kids fighting giant kaiju in this city that is ultimately revealed to be made by another character in the story called Akane, who it's her kind of dream world, and the characters are fighting kaiju in it because she's the god of that world, and she basically just wants to remove things that she doesn't like from that world. That is a simple plot to it. There is a lot more to it behind it that we will get into it, but that is the basic plot. That is these 3 kids versus this one girl and this weird alien giant cartoony villain called Alexis Carib or something. I think that's his name. I wrote it down. Yeah, Alexis Carib. And they're fighting against them too for most of it, but it does become more, which we'll get into today. But it is a Takotsuki, I think, inspired anime, where it's an adaptation of an original show called Gridman, which neither of us have watched, obviously. I do want to watch it someday, because I'm very interested in that kind of cheesy kind of genre. But I didn't want to watch it before talking about this, because I like the aspect of talking about this without the kind of knowledge of the Gridman show, because I think it works on that level as well. But it is an adaptation of that. There's a shit ton of references in it. I was kind of going through them today while getting ready for the podcast. I'm like, fucking hell, geez, this is like way more than I expected. It's inspired by that, and it's very cheesy and kind of tropey, but it's intentionally tropey, and it's very charming in my opinion, the way it kind of embraces all of its tropes and the anime tropes. And it makes a very satisfying watch for 12 episodes that really feel nostalgic to me, even though I didn't I watched a lot of Power Rangers growing up. And this is very nostalgic to me, even though this isn't like, I didn't watch Gridman or anything, but it just reminds me of those days where I was like an 8-year-old watching Power Rangers and getting all hyped over these stupid fucking robots morphing and fighting each other. And I think the anime does a great job of giving you that that nostalgic feeling watching it. What do you think?
I never grew up with Power Rangers or mech anime generally. I mean, the closest thing to a mech anime I've seen is Code Geass, and it doesn't really count.
Yes, that's completely different. It is.
So I was kind of sitting there, and as Shaun was saying, he probably saw me. We were all hanging out here, and every time like the the power-up theme would come on and they're combining and stuff, I'm either just laughing hysterically or sitting up very straight and like paying full attention because there's something about your inner 8-year-old that's just like, it's cool to have giant robots fighting giant aliens that can combine from other vehicles and stuff. That's fantastic. Obviously, I'm still an 8-year-old at heart because I love that shit so much. I don't know why I love it, I just do love it. It's weird. The power-up attacks and stuff are such a meme to me. Like the whole, we have this super combined form, we have this special name that we're going to say in English, but it doesn't sound like English kind of thing. Like pretty gratuitous English in this show. Every time they're saying something like that works more for me in something like, say, Hero Academia because of he's like American.
Yeah.
Main character Allman's always like All Might. Thank you. All Man. All Might he comes from America or something, right? So all of these like powers are named after different things, and that makes sense. Whereas in this one, it just sort of comes out of nowhere, and I don't even question it. I think it's exactly as you
it's definitely like because it's in homage to like the kind of traditional shows that it's like inspired by, and it's also got a lot of like kind of references to the American versions of it. Like the name is a reference to it. I'm pretty sure. The American version of Gridman or whatever the like kind of offspring was. I wrote it down somewhere. It's like Super Samurai Cyberspace or something is the original one, and that's obviously where part of the 4S has come from, though there's another meaning to it that we'll get into later, but I think that's also the English, kind of the super English fucking move names is also because of that, and it's trying to like pay homage to this genre where it's super corny, super flashy, and fucking just super over the top with its transformations, and it does it in such a way that it's very just fun to watch, and it pumps you up, like when they say the names and the stupid moves, like every time it says fucking grid beam or whatnot, it's fun. It's enjoyable, and that's ultimately what they're going for.
It opens up like dude, it's nuts. Like, I just love those screen-filling like huge things. It's like you're just shooting enough energy out of his body to just completely annihilate an entire suburb.
Yeah.
In one fell swoop. And you just watch that and you're just like, yeah.
Yes. It's so fun. It's like the ultimate thing for it. But yeah. There's so it follows the 3 students basically. They're the main characters. There are a few other side characters as well, but the 3 students make the Gridman Alliance, which is also another super cheesy name for the main group, but it works immensely for this. But the group consists of the main character Yuta Hibiki, who is a amnesiac child, a teenager whose parents have coincidentally enough, or conveniently enough, gone away overseas, which is very like classic of I think of that kind of genre where it's just kind of giving the main character room to not have to worry about parents interfering or whatnot. But he's an amnesiac who doesn't remember who he is, and he sees visions of Gridman talking to him through TV, which always makes me laugh when he talks, because it's so fucking dumb and cheesy sometimes when he's talking. But he's followed by Sho Utsumi, who was his friend before he lost amnesia, and he's following him around. He's a massive fan of the fucking Gridman kind of Toketsu fights and all that. And then there's also Rika Tukarado. I'm not gonna try and pronounce names, alright, but she's she's adorable. Yeah, she's a friend of Hibiki's and also a friend of Akane's, and that's kind of what drives her as a character. And the idea behind her is that she's made to unquestionably love Akane, and it's interesting. And I think all the characters are very charming in their own ways. There's not much to them, but they're very endearing to watch, and you do enjoy watching them like fight together and kind of grow closer as friends as well. There's the I think the great payoff of their friendship is in episode 9, the Dream one, where it has them kind of running like in it has shots of them all running and they're all color coded in this theme as well. I love that shot of them running in episode 9 during the Dream episode, and it's like they're color coded, and then it's like got this giant background like landscape behind them as they're running together, and then they finally meet up again. It's satisfying. It's satisfying because they've kind of established their friendship, which is the power of friendship. Yeah, the power of friendship. Yeah, they also do genuinely feel kind of just like kids as well when you're watching as well. They don't feel like adults in kids' bodies or anything. They do generally feel like kids, like teenagers. It's not your regular sign-in. They're 17 years old and they've got enough angst to power a city kind of shit. Like it's. Yeah, I agree with you. It's pretty tame. Tame might not be the right word because there's some moments in there you're kind of like, what the fuck? It is dark. It's funny to say that. Also, like, that's what I found a bit interesting in the tone application. But getting to that later, I'm sure. I think the thing with the characters is, they're actually phenomenal as a crew. Yes. They're very believable as well. Like, the Utsumi is like just chilling. He's like, he has no real purpose. Yeah, to be there, and he actually is self-aware enough to go, I'm nothing, I don't even have a point of being here, but he's also the guy who came up with the name for the Gridman Alliance that takes it super seriously, and is always trying to, like, keep Yuta on hold and on point, making sure he's always, like, pointing towards the kaiju and stuff. And he's a massive kaiju nerd as well, which is a good sort of entry character level for
anyone who's
Yeah.
a fan of that stuff. Yeah.
And it also
Fair genre.
that helps him bond with Akane later on, and kind of actually, that's because all three of them establish a kind of mutual friendship with her in some way as well by the end point, and that helps tie into what the whole thing's about with her. But yeah, I think they work incredibly well together, which is weird to me because I went into it thinking, oh, these characters seem a bit nothing, but then by the end of it I was like, yeah, they're nothing, but like they may not have too much personality to them, but they've got enough there that works for this genre as well. Like they feel like characters that would be from those genres. I feel like I've seen these characters in Power Rangers shows sometimes watching it, and I think that's great because that's obviously what it's going for. But like as you said, like in said as well, they have these things that kind of build up to the end, and that Utsumi ends up realizing, like, kind of becoming aware of how he doesn't have a purpose there or whatnot, and he kind of is just watching Hibiki go at like these kaijus again and again and risking his life, and he starts to feel bad about that, especially since he was having so much fun watching the kaiju battles, and then he starts to come to a realization of like what it means when people are dying from it as well, which I think might also be kind of a deconstruction pick at what the genre actually is as well, because I think the show kind of starts off all like in homage and dreamlike with it, but then it kind of gets a bit more real and like realistic with its depiction and showing how these characters are kind of in a bit of a dark situation, and they're not sure, and they're kids and they don't know how to handle it. But and then like I said before, Rika's character is that she needs to she's stuck between Akane and Hibiki and wants to help Akane, but she's told that she only wants to help Akane because she was designed to do that, but she still kind of embraces that and just says that she wants to be Akane's friend. Hibiki ends up realizing he's actually Gridman in like the twist towards the end, and that the real Hibiki is still kind of unconscious. So you've been following Gridman the whole way through, and Gridman's ultimate purpose is that he wants to save Akane and wake her up from the dream world that she's made. And on that, actually before going to the villains, there's the group of characters that are fucking hilarious to me. The Neon Genesis Junior High students, who are just the most fucking, like, they're basically just these almost comedic characters, but they do turn into weapons and they are helpful in fights. But every time they're in their human forms, it makes me fucking laugh because they're basically just fucking drop kick, no money, fucking sleep, like lazy bags that are just sitting around in the cafe waiting to do something. And Calibur is fucking hilarious to me. I fucking enjoyed Calibur so much when I watched it originally. The samurai one, just like how you, like, first introduction, he fucking falls over into the house.
Calibur,
and like,
he just collapses.
Yeah, and then
And the way he lies on the ground.
Yeah, he's just like,
he's just got his chin on the table. Like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are basically just they're all references to Gridman weapons now, like their names, Boar, Veets, Max, and all that, and their forms are obviously the forms that they use in the Gridman show, but they're basically meant to be parts of Gridman, and they all fuse together at the end to make the ultimate Gridman. And if anyone hasn't watched this is hearing this, they're probably like, this is the most fucking 8-year-old fantasy shit I've ever heard. And it is.
It's great.
And that's why it's great. It's so great because it is just absolutely what I consumed, like, as an 8-year-old watching Power Rangers. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And watching this, it makes me kind of just go, I love it. It's fucking great. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
But the Neon Genesis Junior High students are basically just side characters that are there. They don't really have much personality either, besides like a few kind of quirks amongst all of them. Boar's like a kind of tsundere that keeps kicking Utsumi to shit.
Bastard.
Yeah,
I thought I see that as cringe. It's like,
it's just your classic.
Yeah,
like, thing.
why would you do this to this man?
But Vit's like your sleaze that just does nothing, lasers around. The blue-head guy just kind of like doesn't want to work or anything.
He's a plane as well, right?
Calibur's just socially inept, basically. Max is just
like full massive samurai swords.
Which I find it so hilarious that the swords do not match the sheaths at all, and I don't understand how they come out of those sheaths, but they never explain it, and it's great. But then Max is just your kind of like stern, kind of serious role, like kind of a 4E figure in it, and
weird big face mask.
Yeah, gives love advice to Hibiki. Yeah. That episode makes me laugh a lot. But they're basically just there for the ride, and they turn into weapons, and they're cool, and basically just references to the Ridge show. And the main villains of the series is, you can put it into 3 characters who are the main antagonists, or one of them kind of becomes a protagonist in a way.
Yeah, so you've got Anti, who's the guy who switches teams. You've got Akane, who counts as like the kind of main antagonistic force, but behind her is Alexis Kerib.
Yeah, and I think the villains in this are pretty fantastic, because I think Anti and Alexis Kerib are your fucking great cartoony kind of villains that live. You've seen them before in these Power Rangers shows. Even if you haven't watched Power Rangers, you can look at these villains and be like, these are what I imagine would be in like these Taketsuku movies. They are the standard villains. Anti's your traditional like kind of anti-hero basically, or kind of like And I think he's fucking great. I love his character by the end of it. And I remember watching it. There were so many Reddit discussion threads when it was airing. It's like, Auntie needs justice. He's being mistreated this whole show. And it's like, yeah, this man.
Kicks in the face or slapping in the face with a phone. He can't catch a break.
Gets his eye like cut as well.
Yeah.
But he's fucking super endearing to me. Just he's such a he's so cartoony in how he's like, I want to fight Gridman, and like transforms and like keeps losing. And even the way he gets handled is super fucking, like, in every other show, I'd be like, that's fucking dumb when they're like, you have a heart, so you can't, you will not kill you because you become human. And then it's like, that's super cheesy in any other show. But in this, because it's already just a cheese bag, it's like, no, it's great. It's fucking perfect. And of course, Anthony's not going to get killed because he's proven himself.
He's
and then
the edgy Gridman.
Yeah, exactly. He's the grid knight, yeah. But Alexis Carib is just completely cartoony in every way. He's fucking.
I love him.
I love him as well.
His voice
I love
is
him.
fantastic. Every time you hear him talk, I don't know that voice actor. I swear I've heard him in any other anime. Like he's always around, but he's just fantastic, and it always sounds like he's having such a good time even with it. Like,
Yeah.
Carib always sounds so damn jolly all the time. It's just like, I'm here to just completely destroy your entire city with gigantic monsters this woman is making. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
Yeah, he's just.
And he looks like an edgelord creation from when I was 5 years old.
He really does.
He's got the chains on the shoulders and the big flowing cape and the massive weird mask.
He's fucking like got smoke coming out of him.
Yeah, his head's on fire.
It's fucking great. And the way characters react to him as well, it just sells it further when it's like an alien. And it just like shows up nonchalantly and everyone's like, what the fuck are you? And he's like, oh, I am Alexis, obviously. Yeah. Both of them are cartoony, and Arcanine in a way is very cartoony, but I love her character a lot.
It's interesting that her design still takes a lot of nods from Ray from Neon Genesis.
I could see that.
Do you know about that particular character trope inside of mecha anime?
The like kind of silent, like the
There's a like the really withdrawn weird ones who are secretly psychos and or have big secrets.
Yeah, basically.
They're called Ray Anami XPs or something. It's a trope. They're like everywhere. You always get like some weird chick with red eyes or pink eyes or something, and like blue hair or sort of weird coloured hair, who's just there and is aloof and quiet, knows a lot more than what everyone else is, like knows a lot more than everyone else.
I do think it could be drawn from that as well. I could actually see it. But on design, actually, I didn't put this down, but it reminded me. I remember there was a lot of discussions about this, and I don't know how official it was, because even I've got the art book now and I can't find anything on it. But now that I've heard it, it just got like geared into me. A lot of the characters seem to be designed after Transformers. So Arcanine is like Megatron and Rika's Optimus Prime, and ever since I've heard that, every time I look at them, like, yes, I completely see it. They absolutely look like they're drawn from their color designs and that. So like the purple on Rika and the way she's like drawn, like the way it's just geared around, and
red, white.
Arcanine, sorry, not the purple and Arcanine, and then the Rika, like she's got the blue and red collar that kind of matches Optimus Prime's neck like area. It sounds.
Rika or the main character?
Rika. Hibiki, and it's me. I'm meant to be.
Red hair and the blue
Hibiki, to me, there is someone that they're meant to be inspired, like someone paired them up with, but I can't remember who it is. It's just Rika and Arcanine's ones that are sticking me the most. And I think it's because obviously Optimus Prime and Megatron are always kind of fighting against each other. So Rika and Arcanine, because they're close together, it's kind of meant to kind of parallel that, which is funny.
Super interesting.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I don't know how official it is because I can't find anywhere that says it officially, like from the creators. But it's too like accurate for me to not ignore it now. But I like the designs of all the characters. I think the way they're color coded is fantastic. But back to Arcanine, I think she's a very fantastic villain, and of this year she was actually probably one of my favorite villains of the year. But Arcanine's character is interesting because she starts off very kind of cartoony, it's kind of like sitting in a chair, killing everyone and taking away everything that she doesn't. But there's a lot more added to it where it comes into it that she's kind of hiding away from the real world in this dream world that she's made that Alexis has given her. And I find that super interesting for a villain and how the whole story kind of gears around to making her wake up from this dream world that she's created and realize that she needs to face reality. And there's a lot of interesting theories about it as well, where people said that the ending, like I saw one theory that was about how the ending theme for the show is actually the real world and what happens in the real world. So she's friends with Rika in the real world. But then obviously something happens. So in this world, she's made Rika unconditionally love her or something. And that might tie into what happened between them in the real world and all that. And it also might tie into why Gridman had inhabited Hibiki as well, because of something that happened in the real world. There's a lot of theories about it. And there's a lot of bonus material besides the show. Like there was some CD tracks being released alongside the anime, I think, that kind of gave more information. There's a lot to it, but you can still kind of gather enough to understand what the main gist of the story is by watching the show. And I find Arcanine to be a fascinating villain because she starts off very unsympathetic and unfucking emotive, just killing people, fucking kicking Auntie to the side all the time, throwing phones at him. But then she's like, throughout the show, she starts to become a lot more fragile and interesting as a character to me. And she ends up being my favorite character in the show, with probably Auntie and I'd say Calibur as well, being my other 5 characters. But
you fucking edgelord.
I love them. Is Calibur even an edgelord, to be fair, or he's just like a fucking socially inept, like, fucking...
Who?
The samurai.
You said
Anti as well, yeah, I love Anti.
I think you said Arcanine.
Yeah, Arcanine as well.
Yeah,
They're fucking great. I embraced the edgelord title. I fucking love DMC, obviously I'm an edgelord, but I think Arcanine and Anti are fucking fantastic as villains, and their friendship as well, relationship that's built up through the series is also endearing. Like the way that she stops like throwing stuff at him, he carries her, like he always serves her, and then he's always like, "No, I won't do yours. I just want to fight Gridman." It's funny at first, but then towards the end when he actually does try and save her, it's very endearing, and they're a very good relationship. But before we get too further into that, there's the only other character I can think of that is of importance is the kaiju girl that appears halfway through the series, and she kind of
turns up once,
and then at the end, her name is sorry to any Gridman fans here, they're gonna kill me for getting this wrong, but it's Anocelis II, and she's a reference to Gridman, where Anocelis was like this kaiju that was in the original Gridman series, and she's meant to be a descendant of it, and that's the giant kaiju you see at the end of the series. It's kind of watching her and Auntie when she saves him at the end of the series.
Right.
Yeah. So that's meant to be a reference to that, and she's a descendant of it, and basically, she's the one that tells Hibiki everything that's going on in the world, and she's like, "Yes, this is a dream world. You're all created by Arcanine, and you can she's your god, basically." But ultimately she's referenced, and with references being mentioned, there's a shit ton of references in the show, obviously. And at first, you might think like it makes it this show inaccessible or anything. It really doesn't, and I wonder if you agree with me on that. That even though you don't understand all the references, you can still enjoy it as a standalone piece.
Turn your brain off. It's not like it's dumb or anything like that at all, but you've really got to go in with absolutely no bones about what you're getting into.
Yes, well, obviously. Yeah.
With me, I just like you told me we were watching a mecha anime, like a proper sort of mecha anime series, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go in here with absolutely no expectations. I'm not expecting some deep, dark, sort of deconstructionist tale going on.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm not expecting like some kind of Code Geass level world building or anything like that. It's one season and it's got giant robots, and I saw a picture of the cover. It's the second you pulled it up on Crunchyroll, it's just like, I think I've got an idea what we're getting into. And I finished the first episode and I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Everything about this is just amazing, and I don't care about any of it. But as you said, as it goes along, it starts to sort of get some hair out its chest, starts to get a little bit like more mature, starts to play with some darker themes.
And actually, I think it's got some, like, on its maturity as well, something that sticks throughout the whole thing is its direction and, like, its cinematography is fantastic throughout the whole series. The way it shoots scenes now, the way scenes are, like, kind of positioned, the way characters walk around and the camera pans around them. It's very mature from the start, and it's always only, like, it's really, like, the cinematography works best when it's in the... I don't say works best, but it's a lot more mature and kind of silent when it's on the human characters, but then once the mechs, like, actually, like, Gridman shows up and starts fighting kaiju, he's fucking, like, metal, like... guitar riffs going the whole time, and then the camera is just fucking like getting like kind of trying to follow the action, and the characters just fucking somersaulting and flipping each other over. It's fucking, it changes great, and I think it works fantastically for it because, like you said, it grows mature over long, but throughout the whole series, the cinematography and the way they do it really reflects what's happening on screen, and they kind of make sure that the way that what's being shown to you is done in a way that invokes the feeling of what's being shown to you. So when it's this dumb, goofy kind of fight scene, it does it in a fun way with these fucking instrumentals that you haven't heard in the show yet. But when it's on the characters themselves, it's a lot more silent, and it's kind of more like, it takes its time. There's a lot of shots that just pan on something for like 10 seconds before it cuts away. And it works fantastically. And then when you're in the human, like, focusing on the human characters, it's very suppressive almost, the way it, like, the show is. And it feels like you're being suppressed by this kind of really weird lingering mood that's following these characters. But then when the Gridman's on the screen, it's a lot more uplifting, and it feels more open, and there's like this giant sky and these buildings as they're fucking jumping around and fighting each other.
It gets sized up and sized down, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious show about, gigantic building sized Power Ranger, the biggest buildings.
Yeah.
Actually, it's like a building, he's like knee height of a building, he's fucking massive. When it sizes up and sizes down, cinematography is quite fantastic. I think that, I agree. Most of what you're saying. Also, I might add to that, the aesthetic of the city is quite interesting too, because when you're sizing up and sizing down, say when you size up and you're in the pocket with the mechs and with the kaiju and they're all going at it, they're just knocking buildings over left, right, center. Like, just whatever. This looks like so much. It's like when you're playing. It's like being a kid, really, and then like having your own little model city and like trampling like.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And you don't even think about it. Like, there's one part I remember where he picks up like a piece of building and just smashes someone with it. I was looking at it like, oh, that's like 6 stories full of people.
Yeah, probably.
Whatever, fuck it. But then, like, as you size it back down, then you can see all the carnage and everything, and you've got like, these massive, big, looming statues over everything else, and there's a lot more colour, there's a lot more movement, it might be a bit more subdued and a bit more relaxed. It really pops out in the episode where they go out to do the rowing.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, but like there's a lot of colour and a lot of like really nice colours and stuff in that. But even in the city, like on the ground level, there's still a lot of colour. When you start sizing up, there's colours, but they're not colours from. But the characters are colourful and everything else. But the city just becomes so much grey, and everything else is kind of like we're now none of that really matters anymore. It's not visually interesting. It's not whatever. It's just there.
Yeah.
We're focused here on the big stuff, and then when you size it back down, the world itself seems to re-envelop you, and then you're looking around at all these streets and like just nicely coloured things, and then there's mood lighting for different scenes and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's quite good.
And
That's my 2 cents about that.
No, I agree completely. I think the best way to describe the show and the way it's shot and the way it kind of embraces all of its tropes is that it's a love letter to the genre that it's kind of adapting, and it is a perfect love letter in a lot of ways as well. It completely embodies the feel, but it's also a very mature take at it as well. Like I said, when it's a human, like the characters walking around and interacting with each other, it feels like a completely different show. But once it's actually the fight scenes, it feels way more in tune with what it actually is. But it works so perfectly, and you don't feel whiplash between the scenes or anything because you are invested in a certain extent with these characters when they're walking around. Arkane's character is interesting because you want to learn more about her and what it is that she's doing. And when you realize that she's only removing people that she doesn't like because she's just doing it for petty reasons and nothing else to her, it makes her a lot more terrifying. But then all of a sudden you jump back to these goofy fights between the kaiju she's made and the Gridman that Hibiki's become. And it doesn't feel you don't feel whiplashed or anything about it. You just kind of take it. And it's strange that you just take it. It's just like, yeah. 1 second we're kind of dealing with existential doom with Rika and how she's made to love her unconditionally. But then the next second we're watching like a kaiju fucking flip like another one into a building and then fucking just suplex it basically. And we're just like, yep, this is fun. And it's great. And it completely embraces all of those tropes that comes with that question, with this genre. And it does it in such a way that it doesn't feel like it distracts you or anything. And that's what I love about it, because I haven't watched Power Rangers in fucking years, but I watched the show in 2018 and I was immediately like, fuck yeah, I want to watch another fucking giant kaiju things. And there's good little jokes in here and there as well. Like there's the one episode where there's no kaiju in it. Then one of the characters is like, you can't have an episode without kaijus in it. I know who the fuck would watch that. And it's like, huh? Well, because at that point you're invested into the characters, and I think that's really great that while it can pay tribute to all the genre and what we are watching it for, like the kaiju fights and all that, and bring out this inner 8-year-old, it can also make us invested into these characters that as 8-year-olds we probably wouldn't care too much about because they're a bit too deep. And
no, you just get back to the robots, man. Get back to
exactly, yeah.
We want more of that.
Yeah. And it works fantastically. The episode, the series has a episode of the week structure as well. I think a monster of the week structure you would have noticed, like where it's kind of up until episode 9, I'd say episode 10 onwards, like the last 3 episodes, it's one whole story.
Thing. Yeah, absolutely. But what's interesting is the monster of the week method is explained.
Yes.
Right? So take a Monster of the Week episode structure from any major show. I'm going to pick Smallville here because I watched all that as a kid, right? You might have watching Power Rangers, I was watching Smallville, God help my soul. And
who was the real man here? Who was the real man here?
I'll bow to your Point being, it makes absolutely no... So, for instance, in Smallville, they've got, like, random meteor freaks turning up out of everywhere who've been affected by kryptonite, and the kryptonite is everywhere, and they always just come up and happen to brush into Canton, and that's the whole setup. That's basically it. It's like Monster of the Week, Monster of the Week, Monster of the Week. There's absolutely no reason given for why they all seem to converge upon Smallville like it's a rotting corpse and it flies or ravens.
Yes.
No reason why it should all be happening there, aside from the fact that A, the plot says so, and B, Superman's there.
Yeah.
Apparently that's just the concentration of all that shit. That's it. That's when it's sort of... It does great a little bit. But also it's how you do a regular show, so it's whatever. You sort of copy it. Arrow would follow some similar list, say, in some cases. Whereas with this... It's explained.
Yes.
No, there is a chick who is making these things on a constant basis, and she's doing it because she can do it.
Yes.
She's doing it to fuck with people. She's doing it because she doesn't like this building. She wants to remove it. She's doing it because she wants to kill her high school teacher.
Mm-hmm. Because some student knocked a ball into her food, and she's pissed off about it.
And that student dies, and then they're never remembered. Nothing happens, and no one. It's
pretty terrifying.
Yeah,
when you think of it like that, it's like, fuck, yeah. But I think the episodic structure as well, besides being well explained and having a purpose to it, it also gives it a way to kind of give you that feel of like the Power Rangers kind of Gridman shows, because a lot of the episodes, what the episodes are about, they're a bit goofy sometimes. Like there's the episode where they go rowing, for example, and it's just like...
That's like
it is, but it's not... if you say
each episode,
it is, yeah. But the thing is about that is that it's not even like egregious or anything. In that episode, they spend as much time fucking squeezing Utsumi's stomach as they do like showing like the girl's chest. Now they're equal service basically. But besides that as well, it's kind of your quintessential fan service episode.
Yeah.
But it also they use that chance to kind of explore the idea of Hibiki like being stuck somewhere and not being able to turn into Gridman. That's the conflict of the episode. But it also
went out and get the computer and then bring it back and like plug it into the train station.
There's like shows like the Neon Genesis junior high students fucking wheeling the computer into the train and then falling asleep. And then funnily enough, the sleep thing that you think is a one-off gag turns out to be something important in the next episode. And it's good build-up. It also builds on these episodes while they're kind of nothingness. They build on the characters and flesh them out a bit and kind of add stuff to it. There's the episode where it's basically just about Hibiki wanting to talk to Rika, and it's kind of building on his relationship advice for it. And it's so fucking cheesy that it makes me like, it's like when Gridman's on the TV, he's like, Hibiki, can I help you with this? And he's like, no, not with this one, Chief. I don't think so. And then like it's got Max just giving him love advice like in the park or something. And then at the end of the episode, it's just like, oh, you two are very interesting to watch. It's so fucking corny. But I feel like, and every time I watch it, I'm like, I've seen this episode in Power Rangers. I know I have, and I fucking love it so much because of it. And the episode of the week structure works on that angle because obviously it's paying tribute to this genre. But then it also kind of breaks after episode 10 where the end of the episode is Akane stabbing Hibiki. And it's like, oh, wait, this isn't like a monster of the week anymore. It's kind of building to something. And I think that works because after that point is when the kind of characters kind of wake up from this dream of like, they've like up until then now it's like, we're just fighting Gridman all the time now. We're just having fun. But then after that, it's kind of like, no, there's a lot at stake here or something. Akane's character is like, Akane's basically suffering, Rika learns, and she wants to help her. Utsumi's like, my friend's basically dying, and I can't do anything to help him. And Gridman's like, no, I need to save Akane. And it's very, in the last 3 episodes, it kind of breaks out of this genre, and like it's kind of a lot more of a realistic look at it. And it works great because of the episode like structure that it has, where it is just like a monster every week. On those monsters, the fight scenes with those monsters are fucking so much fun. Like, we've already talked a bit about it, but there's so much that goes into it that makes it great, in my opinion. Do you have anything you want to add more to the fights?
I love me a good fight scene, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
I think it was fun. I really actually enjoyed it. I think that I'm not down with the Kaiju versus mech hand-to-hand combat.
I mean, I'm not even too into it either.
But no, there's a good application of martial arts, anime stuff. Like you see a lot of that kind of, there's unnecessary corkscrew flips and suplexes. Lariats and like
characters like fucking jump into the sky and fucking kick them.
There's a lot of that, and I really do like it. I like the tactics, the sort of the way different
combining
monsters, the combining as well, but also the way the different monsters fight. I think my favorite one was like the whole Arcane's heart thing, that really weird.
Yeah, the one that just flips around. Yeah,
it's like super fast. I was gonna go, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, it's fucking, and it's like got this weird laugh as it's doing it.
It's just weird, dude.
Yeah, that's like
that was a cool fight though. It's one of my favorites. But also, like
it's another good one for character development as well, because that's when Auntie becomes Grid Knight.
Yeah,
as well.
that's right.
It's like, because he can read her heart. It's stupid fucking corny, but it works.
Yeah, it's not even comedy. It's
corny. I mean, not comedy. Yeah, it's just like
it's good, man. I enjoy it. I think the sword, like I can say it again, but like just the blasts, so over the top. It's so unnecessary, and they do it anyway. Like,
and you got this kind of electronic fucking dubstep kicking when it happens as well.
The riffs, and like he has that thing where the pods open up and he just shoots like 60,000 rockets.
Yeah.
You just look at it and go, I don't understand like how you guys have no concept of this little thing in the real world we'd like to call property damage.
Yeah,
it's not even brought up. Like,
well, they do because the kaiju just rebuild everything, so they don't really have to care about it.
Yeah, but you are trying to preserve life as well, and I don't know how many suburbs you are going through every time you get knocked down.
It is fucking hilarious.
Destroying the shit left, right, and center, and it's just fine. Never touch justice, so we're okay. Where's it gonna go?
But they kind of mentioned again in the last 3 episodes where it's like, oh, I'm one of the people that you've like crushed or whatever, and they basically fucking Auntie's like, who cares?
No, I love it. I think the spectacle's just amazing, and because I have no experience with this at all, for the most part, I never watched Power Rangers. I don't know about the big fights against other things. I haven't watched any like mech animes either. Again, aside from Code Geass, which is fun, but it's not the main focus. It's main focus on the tactics and the politics and the character drama there. But
Code Geass is definitely like the focus is its characters and not like the mechs. Where this is kind of like
fantastic. I think that the sickest idea of that is just putting wheels on those bits. Makes sense to me.
But yeah, and
Anyways,
the fights are definitely one of the focuses. Though I'd say what I love about this isn't the fights. And
no, it's
the
always
story,
it's
but,
so over the top.
yeah.
Like, you're watching this and you know it's corny. You know it's
exactly.
corny. You know it's dumb as shit, and you don't question it. You just
Yeah.
go, I'm in here and I'm enjoying this. And like they've got just laser beams that fill up the screen and they're just blasting shit left, right, and center. Stuff's blowing up. There's giant robots. There's these huge monsters. There's awesome music in the background, and your inner 8-year-old just rejoices.
Mm-hmm,
Presumably if you're male. But our female listeners.
Hey man, like there's female characters in the show that like the kaiju.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Sexism alert. Throw Pete under the bus, everyone. I know what the comment section is going to be like for this episode.
Comment episode is going to be, what is a kaiju?
Yeah. Basically.
Honest, bro.
Someone was, it's going to be everyone calling us weebs for a bit.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine.
The episode with the least views.
The episode with the least views. Don't do this. Don't do this. Good.
I think the animation is fantastic for this. I think I talked about it briefly while watching it, but this show uses kind of 3D CGI animation a lot, and this show is probably one of the show I think of where it works the best in anime because it's done with a purpose. Because obviously, what it's adapting, when you look at the source material, the fight scenes are just two guys in a big suit just punching each other in these clunky suits, and their movements are clunky. So they have obviously when Trigger makes this, they have the option of, do we make this do we do this genre and then just make the fight scenes all 2D animation and make it not kind of be reminiscent of what the fight scenes looked like in the original adaptation? Or do we try and mimic that feel? Obviously they tried to mimic the feel because they're trying to do a full love letter to the genre. It's still faster.
More fluid.
But the way they do it, obviously, the 3D CGI, because the 3D animation is a bit clunky, it works perfectly for this because the fight scenes in the original material are clunky, and it looks, when you're watching it, it actually almost looks like two people in big suits for a bit. Ish. Up until they start jumping around. But the movement looks clunky, and it looks reminiscent of it reminds me when I watch Power Ranger, or watch people fucking moving around slowly and kind of like these fucking giant robots, and it's great. It does a great job of replicating the feel of the original, while also being fucking awesome and smooth. Yeah,
it's quite smooth. I think that you say it's clunky, awkward CGI. I've seen much worse.
Oh, I don't think it's. I don't think it's awkward in a bad sense. I think it's
Batman Ninja, for instance. I watched 5 seconds of that, and I was just like, this is terrible.
I haven't seen that.
No, dude. But you look at the animation, it just makes your eyes fucking bleed. It makes them roll out of your head. It's just gross.
Yeah.
Or the Berserk, apparently the Berserk.
Oh, we don't talk about Berserk. Berserk's animation is fucking awful.
We don't talk about that?
Yeah. Right. I don't think when I say awkward and clunky, I mean it in the best possible way, because it's intentionally awkward and clunky, but it's still as smooth as fucking hell. The animation is fantastic, and I think the actual design of this show as well is fantastic. The aesthetic that it's in, it's got with it.
It's colourful, man.
It's super pleasing to look. It's almost movie quality sometimes watching it, an anime movie quality, I would say, and it works so well because I enjoy watching human sequences because it is also pleasant to watch. It's colourful, like you said, and the cinematography is fantastic, and I think the whole animation and aesthetic that it's got going for it works fucking fantastically for it. You agree?
Oh, don't really have much to add to that, bro. You got your bases covered. Yeah, no, I do enjoy it. I think it looks fantastic. It looks like I would buy toys for this for my kids.
I would buy toys for this for myself.
Okay, bro. You know what I mean? But you look at it and just go, it's cool. Transforming stuff, put them all together. That's the kind of stuff that we... Yeah, I don't know. It's
as a kid, I used to fucking love playing with Transformers toys and smashing them against each other on carpet.
Awesome, bro. I do this all the time.
But
Transformers is sick.
Yeah, I think this is a great way to kind of just bring out your inner 8-year-old just watching this show. But there, like I said before, there is more to it, and I do kind of want to talk about the whole kind of idea of saving Arcane in a bit, because the 13th episode is my favorite episode in the series, because I think it's fucking fantastic start to finish, and it basically is everything that's great about the show. It's filled with references, because I think when we're watching, I told you that the song that plays in the first half of the battle is the original Gridman theme.
Yeah, and so they pick it up and they got the new one.
Yeah, but I think the original, the way it kicks in the original one, it's still it's super corny and cheesy, but you're just yeah. Even if you haven't heard the song, the first time I watched, fuck, this is awesome. I feel like I'm in the fucking early 2000s again or something, watching this on my TV as an 8-year-old, and it's great, and it's super fun, and the fight for that as well, the way it kind of pans around and just fucking punching each other, and it's just it's fucking fantastic.
I just don't like the way it looks. Something about that classic look I'm not into at all.
Really?
Yeah, no, the old Super Sentai, not into it.
I disagree.
Okay, I gotta take a leak. So why?
What the fuck? You can't do this. I'm not talking this time.
Okay, fine. Just edit it out then.
I'm not editing this part out.
Fine.
If you watched up to this part, leave a comment saying that Pete is a hack and that I should be the host of the show. Thanks.
I returned.
Yeah. Sure am.
Yep. Alright, so
yeah, you
were
just
talking
went the
about
fuck and put the can on the
3D,
table.
3D, I almost did 3D panning around the final fight scene. I don't really like the Super Sentai
But
sort of
I think
outfit.
I think it's great because it's the original outfit. So
I don't know
they need
about it.
to.
I don't, I'm just saying aesthetically, I prefer the original Gridman. I like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the design of him in that final bit and the 2D animation. I think it works fantastically for it because it kind of brings it to this sense of completion and like this sense of wholeness.
I just don't have any background on this.
I don't either, but I still like it.
I get you. I just don't have. But I would say even more than that. Aesthetically, I don't have that kind of background where I like the way he looks normally. I don't like the way he looks like when he's trying to dress up as a Power Ranger, if that makes any sense. Even if he combines everything together.
I don't know. We'll agree to disagree, but I just think it. I think it works. I think it works for it. It kind of brings it to this sense of realism and this kind of it brings it back down to what it's meant to be originally, and I think it works. Even though I think his original design for the story works.
I don't like it. It definitely works thematically. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny you that. I think it does work as a theme. If it is, in fact, a love letter, it seems to be.
Yeah.
To the original genre. I'm just saying, I personally don't care for it too much.
Yeah. Well, you're a scrub.
There's no kind of taste, is there? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Can't fix shit taste, people. But anyway,
Shaun has definitely tried.
Yeah.
But it's
anyway,
not for him.
the rest of the fight is still I think the fight itself is great because it's just them fucking punching each other over and over again. But then in the second half of the fight, the opening theme for the actual show kicks in, and they've kicked it in several times throughout the show by this point. But this is the first time they've done the full song of it, and I love the song a lot as well. Like I've listened to it so many times since 2018. But I think it when the full version kicks in, and then it shows all the characters like they're kind of watching, and it's super cheesy as well. What the whole message is, it was like, this is the power of mortality, and it's like it's super dumb and corny.
That was where it started to grate on me. Before that, I was able to accept it all. I think at that point I was just like, this is too strong.
I disagree with that. I think the final episode is where it fucking works best because it's just. Everything in it is just in theme with the show and what it's built up to.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. For me, there's a certain point I'm like, I don't know.
I don't get how you can accept fucking giant kaiju battles, but then when they start talking about
mortality.
mortality,
About the power of mortality, and like I have this massive, huge laser beam that's gonna fix everything.
The fixer beam is also a reference to like the show as well, like because it's a bunch. It's like cyberspace, so it's embodying what it is as well. Is the thing like the whole thing is meant to be kind of this thematic wrap up, and it's kind of bringing. They
also did say he looks very old school when he went back to that old outfit.
Yeah,
right? That's what you were saying. That he originally looks like that. Yeah, okay. But I have no background for this, so I just look at it and go.
I mean, I don't either know. That's the thing. So that's why I'm saying. Basically, sorry.
Cheese is so strong.
The cheese is strong, but the whole show's fucking filled with cheese fest.
I don't know why I could suspend everything until the very last part, and then I expected something different or not to go in that direction.
Anyway, so basically they're fighting, and the whole thing that they're fighting about is that they're trying to fight to save Arkanay's soul. And in that episode, a lot of them have kind of done a lot to kind of get to that point. Auntie spent the first bit of that episode breaking through Arkanay's shell, like figuratively, I guess, and then he pulls her out, but then he's stabbed by Alexis and kind of thrown down to the ground. Yeah. And then Itsumi and Rika as well also kind of harden their resolves as well. They're like, yeah, we'll work together. We're going to finish this. Basically, Rika says that she's just going to be Arkanay's friend, even if she's designed to just do that, she's still going to do it regardless because she wants to. And so
she gets eaten alive by Karib.
Arkanay gets eaten by a fucking Karib and becomes this final thing, and he's like, oh wow, I'm so strong and powerful now. It's super cartoonish.
But also, he has nothing interesting going for him. Like, this is another thing I noticed as well. Like, yeah, he's a gigantic guy who's mildly humanoid, but in terms of the mecha, in terms of the Gladu designs, he's not really that interesting.
Well, yeah, I think that's intentional as well.
Also, the point, yeah.
But they then right before the final battle, Hibiki fuses with all the junior high students again. They all get the fucking dumb bracelet thing, and it's symbolic of them finally coming back to one whole. Then Auntie also combines with them as well because he's got one, and it's so fucking dumb and cartoony, but it works because they're all trying to save Arkanay. Yeah. And the whole show, like I said, is about saving Arkanay's soul because the world, it's built up to be this kind of cyberspace world, which ties into the Gridman cyberspace fucking samurai thing, which I don't know too much about. I know that it's set in cyberspace and the Gridman's some kind of hyper warrior or something, whatever that fucking means.
They call themselves the hyper warriors.
Yeah.
Hyper agents.
Hyper agents, that's right. So this is meant to be a hype cyber world that Hibiki's created with the help of Alexis Karib, and it's a world that she's basically hiding away in because she doesn't want to face reality. It seems to be what it is. And basically throughout the show, you see that she's sensitive. She gets upset over minor things, like things that you could probably pass off. She gets upset about. Someone accidentally crushes her sandwich with a ball, and then instead of just accepting the apology, she goes home and kills them by baking a kaiju.
That will kill your entire family.
Yeah. The teacher bumps into her, and she gets pissed off, and
he's rude. That's right.
She gets floated with by those creepy kind of YouTubers as well, which I can understand a bit more. Fuck those guys, but Like, really, it's like nothing dangerous is happening to her. She just doesn't like interacting with people, and she doesn't like when people get in her way. And
It's the case of kill them all.
yeah, and in the case of like them as well, it works because when they don't get killed, they change sometimes. Like Gridman, the teacher, becomes a lot more like aware of his surroundings after the whole Gridman fight with the kaiju that was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And I think that ties into the idea that people can change, and that Akane's way of thinking is closed-minded, I guess. And the whole thing is about waking her up and making her face reality. That's what all the characters want, even though like, and once they become aware of what she actually is. And that final fight is the whole point of it, because they're fighting Alexis, which probably in some way kind of represents her hatred towards the outside world, you could say, or argue. I think it's just like, I don't want to think too metaphorically about that, but that's just a thing I can throw in.
Nothing stopped you up until this point.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into it?
Well, no. I don't want to get too much into that. But in the final fight, while the song's playing, I love when it goes to this gentler version of the song, and it's them behind the door and her on the other side, and it's them talking and saying that she needs to rely on people more to actually go outside. And it has that monologue of her saying that she doesn't belong here and that she needs to go and face the real world. And then once she does that, it has the corny thing of him being like, "Oh, you managed to mend her heart," and then the power of mortality
explodes. Yeah.
and it's super corny, but it's super like, it's anime as hell, and it's everything that this genre is as well, and it's fucking fantastic to me, because I think I can take it, because I'm like, it's what it's trying to be, obviously, and because it's trying to be it doesn't feel grating on me. I'm like, I watch it, I'm like, no, this is fantastic, this fits in thematically.
A mate of mine says that his favorite anime trope is the power of friendship.
I don't like the power of friendship as a trope.
My mate
much,
he loves it.
Yeah.
He said that, like, he just straight up says, shout out to Dean if he's listening to this. He says, like, just the power of friendship. He says it's the corniest, dumbest, most retarded shit ever. When you think about it in terms of, people, you also probably said that he doesn't. I'm not going to speak for Dean.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is, love you, Dean. Love you so much. Please call me. That there's a case of he needs, like, he just loves that trope because the idea of, we can do everything together. Like, friendship will overcome all. It's cheesy shit. It's also not necessarily incorrect.
Yeah, well, it's just a Japanese trope that I've noticed, and I think it kind of just ties into their writing, where a lot of shows seem to kind of, a lot of their writings...
It kind of works.
It works, though, but a lot of their older writings as well, even like the edgier things, do kind of tie into the idea of bonds and friendships that you can make, and it's something that I just see as being a part of Japanese culture as a whole, and it's kind of like similar how Australians have a lot of tropes that we kind of like in our writing, and I think it's just a byproduct.
What do we like?
We just have we have a fascination with family connection, like family, and a sense of like community. If you look at a lot of Australian literature, you see that there's a very similar trend of making a family and kind of trying to stay close with each other as well. And it's very clear in a lot of Australian media as well, like The Castle, for example, which you hate, which is a fucking crime. But But yeah, like, we won't talk about Australian literature too much right now.
No. I just think it's interesting in that, like, that does turn up a lot in those.
It does,
shows.
And
I personally don't mind it. Like,
I don't mind it either.
I think it's a good message for the kids. I think it's good.
It's good for kids.
It still remains true. It can get taken to the extreme. It can get corny.
It's absolutely taken to the extreme.
And it is taken to the extreme in this show.
Yeah, but I think it works.
I think it works. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's there. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, so the whole point is to save Akane's soul, which ties into what the S's for the show mean, which besides being Cyber Samurai, Cyber Squad or whatever, it's also a special signature to save a soul, which is what flashes on the screen at the end, which is corny, but it works fantastically while also being in homage to the original show that's inspired by.
The ending sequence where it wakes up in real time.
Well, like, and it's live action. I think it's fantastic as well.
Fantastic, dude. I found that quite jarring. Incredibly jarring, but also the point of like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so like
the final homage to the fact that it was live action back in the day, apparently, allegedly.
Yeah.
But also, I have a massive issue with that ending too, because you go to the extent to develop the world in such a way, and then you wake up and it's all a dream. Is one of the most frustrating and non-satisfying endings in a lot of stories. Not all, before you rip your head off. But I think that in this case, it works because and it's also a kind of massive middle finger to the audience, because you're like, it was all a dream anyway, so fuck you, you don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain if there's any kind of consistencies. You don't have to explain why there's kaiju, why she can make kaiju. You don't have to explain how godhood works. You don't have to explain how he can just go into a computer and become what he is, because it's all a dream sequence anyway, and it's all a larger narrative tied into her subconscious.
Well, it's also because, like, it's partly set in cyberspace, which is kind of inhabited with her dream as well. And I think that ties into the Gridman nature, where the Gridman things are happening. It's just like he's saving her soul and mending her heart, basically.
Right.
So while it is a dream, it absolutely is. The whole point is that it's a dream. And that's why I think it's more satisfying, because unlike the reason why it's a dream sequence, like it's a dream twist doesn't work, is because most of the time it's because they're doing it and it sucks because the whole point isn't that it was a dream. You were invested into these characters. But in this story, it's established pretty much around the halfway point. It starts like hinting that it is all a dream and that there is like this isn't a real world or something. And because the whole point is about Arcanine is hiding herself away from reality, it works because you want her to wake up from the dream. That's why it works here, and that's where it can work. But a lot of the time, literature and media just doesn't understand
As
that.
a general rule, I don't like it. It does work.
No, I agree. I hate the twist as well, but I think it works perfectly.
Some cases it does work really well. I think but if it's left ambiguous, it's even better. Ambiguity is nice with this ending if it's executed well. But we'll leave that aside. Inception, for instance.
Yeah, I was going to say Inception. You're talking about.
Yeah. That is the best example of that at all ever, generally. But also, dreams were a theme in that movie. Also, not what we're talking about. But seriously, I really like that snap to live action. I really do. I think it's a nice capstone to the entire series.
Yeah.
And as it exists, or as it stands, I feel really bad for Anti because he can't get his actual grudge match against Gridman that he really wanted. Poor bastard.
I mean, there's going to be a sequel season, so you probably...
Is that?
Yeah, I told you at the start that they announced like a sequel season this year, which they haven't... They haven't said anything. The trailer shows the same characters, but it's done in a way where it seems to just be hyping up that they're doing a sequel, so it's not like clear or anything. I think there's room to do things with the same characters because they still got the Kaiju girl there, and like they could probably... you could probably argue that there is something you could do with it. If Arcanine's in it, though, is when I'd have issues with it.
I would have issues with all the same characters, anyways. To be honest,
I don't know.
I would much rather a completely new story with a similar.
I would as well, and I think
that's
there's
not a dream world.
What? It's not a dream world.
Yeah.
I think it would always be a dream world if they're going to do a sequel.
Could you do it in cyberspace or something? Like something a little slightly different to you wake up at the end of it and it's whatever else.
Well, I mean, they're hyper agents that are trying to save like people's souls, so it's always going to kind of turn into like the
dreaming thing.
They're like
is that always the case in the old series?
I don't know if it's always the case in the old series, but it's very clearly in this case that they are traveling through cyberspace, kind of trying to save souls that are being corrupted by weird alien figures or something. That's at least what I get from it, because he says like, "Oh, I've sealed Alexis Carib's soul or something, and I've sealed him away, and we're gonna go back to wherever we go."
Is it real or not?
It is like it's a mix of both. Like you could argue, but it is ultimately just about Arcanine waking up from this like world.
Yeah, I get that part.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely interested as to what the fuck is going on, and I have no background, so
yeah, well, yeah.
I'm asking questions.
Well, yeah, they've made like a sequel series or whatnot, and I know about they're making a sequel series. I don't know what it'll be about. Maybe by the time this podcast is fucking out, there'll be something on it. So
probably,
but
probably will be.
But
I'm gonna tweet about it.
Yeah, you tweet about it.
No,
yeah.
you can tweet about it.
I can tweet about it. Not on my horror blog. Anyway, with Anti, the whole point is that he kind of did get over it eventually. Like, he still wants to fight him, but he does kind of find like a different ultimate meaning for it, where he just wants to serve Arcanine and help her. And he ended up helping her in a way by getting her out of there. I thought he was going to die, and I would have been fucking way more upset if he just died, honestly. If he was just mistreated the whole way through and then just gets killed at the end.
At the end, yeah, ceremoniously killed off.
Yeah, but no, Kaiju girl saved them. They're both Kaiju, so they'll just fucking do Kaiju things together that don't involve destroying people, I think, because they're nice Kaiju, I think.
Kaiju shifters are cool.
Yeah, but I love the ending, and I love the show as a whole as well, and I don't think it's underrated, but I do think it's a bit underappreciated. But on another aspect as well, actually, I think this is a good anime for Trigger, the Studio Trigger who made this, which are very well known in the anime industry because they made Tengen Toppa for one thing, and they made this obviously, but they also this year it came out, they made an anime called Darling in the Franxx. And I fucking loved the first half of that anime. I really enjoyed it.
I've heard tell of this. Was this year or last year?
It was 2018.
Oh, same year.
Same year as this. So the first half of that year was Darling in the Franxx, basically for Studio Trigger. And I really enjoyed the first half of that show because it was so interesting and there's so much going on. And the second half just falls apart and I was so fucking pissed. I was so invested into these characters and I got nothing for it. Trigger, fuck you. And then this anime came out right after Darling in the Franxx came out, finished. And then everyone was like, oh, there's another series by Trigger. I guess we can watch it if we want. Then everyone was like, no, guys, this series is actually fucking awesome. Come back, watch it. And so this was a redemption arc for them in a lot of ways. And it's funny because there's a lot of little funny jokes in the show as well, where you know how the characters keep saying aliens and all that?
Yeah.
I think that's a dig at Trigger themselves because they keep bringing aliens into their shows and that always ruins it. But for this one, they were like, oh, an alien attacked and the Kaiju girl laughs. And it feels so self-aware to me watching it. Like, you guys fucking know that your fan base are fucking killing themselves over you right now. And it's great. And I think that's really just ultimately what it is. It's Trigger at its best and it's the tokusatsu genre at its best as well. And I think besides that as well, what the message they are telling of the story stands alone besides you needing to have this idea of the tokusatsu genre or any idea of Trigger anime. You can watch this anime without seeing much of Trigger, you can watch this anime without seeing tokusatsus, and you could still enjoy it in my opinion.
I absolutely agree with that. I think it's fantastic entry level stuff. You just get it and just get it done. And you really, really, really love it. I did. I really enjoy it. I think But again, I would not go in expecting a very, very overly complex, clever, or sophisticated, or necessarily mature story arc. It does have.
I think it's mature.
It does have elements of maturity. But I'm saying, like, if you're looking for a Simon experience, if you're looking for the next Neon Genesis Evangelion, get the fuck out.
Well, yeah, like it's not a sign or anything, and it's not complex.
It's not a deconstruction. It's a reconstruction, and it's an affirmation, if anything, of the genre and how awesome it is.
It's a love.
And as a guy who's never been into any of this shit, I had a blast with it, bro.
I'm glad you had a
really did. Like,
this is a great anime, and if you are an anime fan watching this and you haven't watched this yet or something, I'd say please do watch it just for the animation. But,
absolutely.
It is a fantastic series, and like I said, I think it's a bit underappreciated, honestly. It's very highly regarded, but I do think people don't talk about it as much as they should.
My podcast, rant about your anime views, the wider community.
Yep. This is another episode. Funnily enough, the Grudge episode I talked a lot, and this episode I talked a lot. Everyone's going to realize I'm a fucking massive weeb.
It's fine, bro.
Sean says nothing except on the anime episodes and the Japanese episodes. I take over.
It's really good, man. I really enjoy it. I love hearing you talk about it. You're doing great work.
I hate hearing myself talk because I fucking edit everything.
Yeah, not yet. If anyone's interested in doing a professional job of editing for free, out of general interest,
job application. Absolutely. 59 minutes into the episode.
There we go. 59 minutes.
Oh, it'll probably be 58 or something because I would have edited it out.
Okay, that's fine. Well, there you go then. I suppose this is the ending then.
No, we'll go on.
No, go on.
Keep talking for 20 minutes. How's your life been?
What's up?
How's your life been?
Don't want to go.
Alright. Alright,
I'm being entirely honest.
Alright,
the BoJack episode, which you just brought out like this week.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a mind fuck for you listeners listening to this shit.
It's fucking gonna be like months in the future, probably. Like the BoJack episode.
Yeah. Anyway,
Future recommendation.
Future recommendation. I'm gonna hit
for
you
episode 10.
What?
Episode 10.
Episode 10.
Milestone.
Yep. English, motherfucker. How do you speak it? My recommendation for next week is actually going to be a little bit on you, man. I'm gonna give you one of two options.
Alright.
Yes.
I get a
It's
choice.
spicy. You do. You get to watch Altered Carbon on Netflix in live action, or you get to watch the anime version they brought out, which I have not seen.
Oh, Altered Carbon. I'd probably.
Which is like unilaterally my favorite thing that has come out on Netflix in the last 2 years, with the exception of The Punisher, which we're not going to get into.
Yeah.
Also, Altered Carbon is 12
episodes or something?
10 episodes.
10 episodes.
Yeah. So they're an hour long, but it's not going to be as quick as watching this, but it'll be, what, no? Hang on. Yeah, no, it'll be a bit longer than watching this. I really enjoyed the live action one. I have not seen the
I was going to say, I think we should watch the live action one, because I do want to watch the first season.
Yeah, sick. Alright, cool. The second season doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Alright,
so
well,
we're good.
There you go.
Solid. Alright, peace out, nerds. Have a good one, and thank you very much for tuning in.